supporting us in a bilateral context. But here we are looking at an expanded platform where we can look at synergies, where our three countries can cooperate in enhancing the economic resilience of the Philippines, especially in the areas of strategic and critical infrastructure. We are also looking at cooperating to help. The Philippines is one of the countries most severely affected by climate change. So we are looking at at actions, at activities that will help address and mitigate the impact of climate change and help the Philippines adapt to climate change. So here we're looking at clean energy, cooperation on clean energy, green energy, renewables. We're also looking at expanding our cooperation on important industries for the Philippines, such as critical minerals and semiconductors. So it really is not. It really is. There's a lot of focus on economic cooperation, but of course that's not to say that we. The security environment will also have to be taken into consideration, because for economic resilience and economic growth to happen, we will also have to take into account the peace and security of the region. And in this aspect, the Trilateral Cooperation also hopes to enhance cooperation in this respect.
Sir, are we expecting po na after this trilateral cooperation or summit, makikita po ba natin yung result sa pamamagitan ng mas payapang pangingisda ng ating mga kababayan dito sa West Philippine Sea, at mas safe at open na paglalakbay dito sa bahagi po ng South China Sea ng iba't ibang mga barko o mga sakyan ng mga iba't ibang bansa?
I think that is the hope of everyone, whether or not this trilateral summit takes place or even in a bilateral context. That is our hope na magkaroon ng malayang paglalayag sa West Philippine Sea at sa ating mga karagatan. Our hope is also that with the trilateral cooperation, it will also help capacitate the Philippines in terms of more training on maritime security, training on capacity building, not just training of personnel, but also possibly more cooperation on equipment. So it really is a integrated package, integrated suite of projects that will help enhance our capability to be interoperable with our partners, with our allies, and that is our hope that this will help promote a more conducive environment to allow our people to travel and do their livelihoods in our seas.
Sir, wala ba tayong plano out of this trilateral summit na bumuo ng the big three?
I think this trilateral summit it's in the initial stages. We are still developing the mechanisms to cooperate on a trilateral basis. But I think this trilateral cooperation should be seen as something that will help additional efforts, in the region, especially this trilateral cooperation supports existing mechanisms like ASEAN, and ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific. It will complement the existing mechanisms in the region to help promote greater peace and prosperity for all of us.
Okay, thank you. Alvin Baltasar, Radyo Pilipinas.
Sir, good morning. Sir, what other activities does the President has aside from the trilateral meeting?
I understand that before the trilateral meeting, that the President will also have a bilateral meeting with President Biden. Of course, they will discuss more bilateral issues, including, of course, one of the main objectives of the President would be on economic cooperation, economic security. And of course, there will also be discussions on our security cooperation. And we expect these conversations, which were raised in previous meetings, to continue. I also understand that he has meetings with the Defense Secretary, Austin, and he will also have meetings with business during his trip.
Okay. Alan Francisco, PTV4.
Hi ma'am, hi sir, good morning. As far as I understand po, nagkaroon na ng separate meetings or na-meet na ng Pangulong Marcos, sina President Biden and Japanese Prime Minister before. So my question is, may magkakaroon po ba ng mga follow-up or pagre-review sa mga naunang agreements or partnership or talks before?
Lahat naman ho ng mga meetings na nangyayari. Every time our heads of states meet, it is always they follow up, they build on earlier meetings. So of course they have met bilaterally, and what is historic in this upcoming trilateral summit meeting in Washington is that they will be meeting for the first time na silang tatlo. And I think that this is very significant. It shows the deepening of the bilateral partnerships that we've had, and that we can talk already at a trilateral basis is a good sign of the maturity of our bilateral relations. So meron siyang of course review of the bilateral relations. Of course, a number of the activities that we are looking at for the trilateral cooperation have their beginnings in bilateral cooperation. So parang we are looking at avenues where we can expand existing bilateral cooperation to find synergies in a trilateral context.
Okay. Maricel Halili, TV5.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Sir, aside from the joint vision statement, will there be other documents that will be issued after the meeting, the trilateral meeting, or are there any agreements that we expect to be signed?
As far as I know, for the Trilateral Summit, it is just this joint vision statement. I cannot speak to the other meetings that the President would have, for example, sa business. I would defer to my colleagues in DTI for that. But as far as the Trilateral Summit is concerned, this joint vision statement is expected to be issued.
So just a clarification. So ang first day ni Presidente sa Washington is on April 11 and he will be staying in DC until when?
I understand because he has meetings until the 12th. So I expect that he would be leaving soon after.
Leaving for Manila?
For Manila.
Okay,
yes.
thank you, sir.
Okay, I think we're done. Oh, sorry. Okay, Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
Follow-up lang po dun sa mga questions kanina. Ito pong landmark summit. What does it say about how seriously the Philippines, US, and Japan are taking the developments in the South China Sea?
I think it says that we are we stand for the preservation of the international rules-based order, and that for us, the Philippines, our position has always been based on UNCLOS and the arbitral tribunal ruling. And we appreciate the support that Japan and the United States and many other countries have shown for our position. So I think the Trilateral Summit reinforces the importance of keeping peace and stability in the region, and to always resolve the issues through dialogue and diplomacy.
Okay. Jean Mangaluz, Inquirer.net.
Hi. So you mentioned earlier that the meeting isn't for any country in particular, but I think we need to acknowledge that there might be other countries who will not be happy with the meeting. So what message do you think this meeting would send to them?
I think for us, the important thing is that we are open to our lines of communication, our lines of dialogue and consultations have always been open. So this applies to all the countries in the region. So in fact, we have continuing dialogues with our neighbors, and this Trilateral Summit is one of those dialogues and consultations that we have. So our lines of communication are always open, and we keep on engaging, and we will keep on engaging all the relevant stakeholders in the region.
Okay. Thank you very much. This concludes our pre-departure briefing today. Thank you very much, Undersecretary Siriban, and maraming salamat Malacañang Press Corps. Good morning.